And it's a couple areas there just northeast of Paulette Road where things are getting more organized. And so right about here is where our meteorologist Joel Young is right now. So he's just a little ahead of this as he's continuing to track it. Let's pull up his live view for just a second here, and let's talk to him for a moment based on what he's seeing. And your view is in and out, as you would imagine, as you're driving along here, Joel. So let's go back to radar. But where are you at this moment?
Okay, right now, a little bit on this road. I took a left on Rock Hill Road, which kept me at a more easterly component as long as I could. I didn't want to turn that southeast on 14 because it's like it would be crossing, that same area would be crossing toward Highway 14. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. The road.
I wanted to maintain as much of an easterly component as I could.
Okay, I don't know how much longer. I think you might end up getting cut off eventually because of that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably try to angle a little closer to, but you know what you're viewing. Let's go to his camera here for a second. You know what you're viewing on whether or not you're going to actually stay ahead of it because radar's only so-so.
Just a moment.
Okay, so I know exactly where they're at. So they're about to turn south back toward 14, and so that will then get them in the right spot. So let's go back to radar here. So we'll get him just a little bit ahead. I'm going to trade you this for that for just a second here. So the way things are set up at this moment, the main headline is this. Most of these thunderstorms, it's heavy rainfall. This is the one thunderstorm where maybe there's still that tornado potential here as we continue to watch this. Now, that tornado potential, maybe not what it was just a moment ago, but there's still a couple areas here where perhaps pretty much right over top of where our meteorologist Joel Young is, that it's trying to spin something up a little more organized. Give me a moment here. Okay, had to get her logged in. And I'm going to trade this out for you again, Alan. And we might just use the phone to Alan's microphone when I talk to Joel. So we'll do that here in a minute. So Alan, we'll do phone to your microphone when I talk to him here in a minute. Okay? Okay. So let's go wide. Let's make sure that there's nothing that we're missing at this moment. As we continue to watch what was previously tornado warned for a long time and has a long history producing wind damage. A couple of areas here north of New Albany now where that is. Look at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar out of Memphis. Yeah, we're north of New Albany here, but we're honestly looking a little too high up to see the leading edge of that, but moving through Ripley and some of those locations. Let's track that again, about that 60 miles per hour there, Holly Springs to Ripley. And so Ripley, we are at about 11:43 for you, Boonville 11:48, Walnut at 11:58, and Corinth at just about noontime. Straight line winds. I don't know that we don't have that 70-80 like what we had earlier, but I think thankfully. But we do continue to have reports of trees coming down on these thunderstorms, including just a moment ago reports of trees down in New Albany from this thunderstorm moving through. So we'll try to get on the phone if we can back over there with the emergency manager in Union County, see if we can get some information out of that. But it has been that same thing. And we might check Pontotoc County while we're at it as well. As we continue to get these reports of tree damage from at least straight line winds and perhaps tornado damage from time to time. That's does it look like anything that would produce tree damage? No. But it just has that history. It's done it. We assume it's going to continue to do it. And so that's where we're at with it. We just have to assume it's going to continue to do it. By the way, anything that comes through Twitter, retweet as me and as WTVA Weather, and I can pull it up over here and just hold up the picture sign when you get that, and we get it on the air. And so if you mention at WTVA Weather in your tweets, we could pull those up on the air. And so we appreciate you for helping us out with that. Because your reports help us pass that information along to folks at home. When they see that, they know that they need to be careful and need to take shelter. Speaking of taking shelter, our meteorologist Joel Young trying to stay just a little bit ahead of a potentially tornado-producing thunderstorm here moving into Pickens County, Alabama. And he's probably just a hint behind it now based on its current location there, and he's probably in the heavy rainfall. Let's pull up Joel's camera for a moment because I'm going to bet we can't see anything. Yeah, that's about right. He's back in that heaviest rainfall at this time, trying to kind of shoot through this. That's why it's really pixelated there. It's trying to get that signal back. and he's definitely still tracking this, but at least we haven't had confirmed reports, because he's very close to the area of interest. I haven't had confirmed reports from his camera of damage. If we get some of that information, we'll pass that along, but that is very near now Alabama Highway 32, what Highway 14, Mississippi Highway 14 turns into once it goes into Pickens County, Alabama, near the Cochran area, between that and Memphis, Alabama, where we have the rotation that's a little more intense, probably the most intense actual rotation as opposed to straight line winds that we have at this time. Even though it shows it just a little bit behind that, I'd have it right where that 32 symbol is. That's where I would put my rotation at this time. And so let's track based upon that spot, northeastward. Aliceville, definitely in the path of this. And so Cochran, 5 minutes, Aliceville, 12 minutes, Saps Community, 16 minutes, Carrollton, Alabama, 22 minutes, Stanzville in 27 minutes. As we continue to watch the potential that this could produce a tornado, certainly it is strong straight line winds as it moves toward the north and east. So along this line, up in the Lowndes County, and Lowndes County under severe thunderstorm warning, this is primarily straight line winds on this part that's going to move into Lamar County, Alabama as well. Track the northern part of this line. I'm going to keep it about 60, might be just a little fast. But Caledonia, very soon, next minute or two, Pickensville at 11:41, Ethelsville 11:46, Vernon, Alabama at 11:52, Millport at 11:55, Reform, Alabama 11:58, Gordo at 12:03, and Ekla at 12:09. Strong straight line winds out of that for sure. Perhaps something that again tries to spin up, because that's what happens here in a squall line. It's wind, it's wind, it's wind, and then something gets a little bit ahead and you get that rotation, and then it tries to briefly produce a tornado. In some cases, maybe not so brief. Wind mode, there are a couple areas here where we do have some interactions near the Foreston community there, but that's only 32 miles per hour. And if I go up and down this line, highest interaction we have is that 32 mile per hour pixel to pixel wind change there. But certainly, so let's come a little closer here to Lowndes County. The worst of this is already through New Hope. The worst of this is already through Whiteberry. Worst of this is already through Columbus, with straight line winds moving toward Forest and moving toward Ethelsville and into Pickens County, Alabama, with those strongest straight line winds. We haven't had any damage reports yet, but obviously the storm has to come through before you can go outside and check to see if there has been damage. And that's kind of where we're at with that right now, waiting to see whether or not we do get some damage reported. Speaking of damage reports coming in via the Twitter with at WTVA weather, trees down in the Judah community. You can see kind of on the side of the screen there some of the tree damage that they had in the Judah community there, as well as knocked over, well, that happens every time the wind blows in my neighborhood, but knocked over basketball goal there. And then another tree, a picture of tree damage. This in the Randolph community, Pontotoc County, where this would be. As you can see, part of a tree knocked over, not the whole thing knocked over. So this is typically winds that are 45, 55, not necessarily always at 60 mile per hour winds. Typically in 60 mile per hour wind, you're going to take over maybe the whole tree, depending on how weak that tree ends up being. So appreciate those reports coming in there as we continue to monitor this. We have one of our reporters is heading to Pontotoc County to continue to assess that, those reports of wind damage coming out of there, and we'll hopefully have more updates on that coming up here in a minute as things continue to progress. I want to look closer here on Lowndes County. It doesn't show up as much on the precipitation mode, but on the wind mode here, this part, well, and I said it was in New Hope, and it's really on the doorstep of New Hope right now. I'm going to track right along the edge of this, because there's a couple areas where that's slanted just the right direction. When it kind of slopes back beyond about 45 degrees, that's when I start to worry that maybe we're going to spin something up there. We don't have that right now, but in Lowndes County here, New Hope in the next minute, this is in New, if not already there at this second. Steens, about 11:42, if not just a minute or two before that. Stafford 11:44, Fern Bank there at 11:52. Couple areas here where rotation is starting to increase a little bit on this line. So severe thunderstorm warning at this point. We expect at least a severe thunderstorm warning will be issued for Lamar County in the next few minutes here. And the tornado warning you see up here, you can see that arrow, it's pointing down to the one that's in Pickens County. Those Steens, I would rather you be in your tornado safe place at this moment. In northeastern, near Caledonia, as well here in northeastern it's a little south of Caledonia, but pretty much along Highway 12. Yeah, Steens, we need to be in our tornado safe place. Let's just be careful. This has gotten just the right angle there. It's gotten much more organized just in the last couple of moments here. I don't show the rotation at the lowest level here, but radar, I'm not going to say it's lied to us a lot today, but it has not picked up these tornadoes. So on the precipitation mode, what I know is the wind's coming in here like this, and the outflow's coming up like that, and there's an interaction there, and that's either 60-mile-per-hour winds heading towards Steens or possibly something else trying to wrap up. So if you know some folks that live up here in the northeastern portion of Lowndes County, they need to be in that tornado safe place. Steens, I mentioned you because you are the location showing up on my radar. And so what we don't have at this moment is a tornado that's been spotted. What we don't have is radar confirming debris. What we do have is rotation developing that could develop into a tornado, but even though on the top here it says tornado warning, at this moment it's technically a severe thunderstorm warning, but I want you in that tornado safe place if you live in the northeastern portion of Lowndes County. A sturdy structure. That means mobile home's not going to cut it. We need to get into, if you have a neighbor's house that's a sturdy structure, if you leave it this instant, and I'm not meaning drive, but we need to go. We need to do the best we can. And if you don't, then we need to just hunker down and do the best we can. And it might be just a low-lying area, low spot. I worry about the flash flooding issues we have today, so I'm talking specifically about this storm here when we give this information. We need to be a low location in a sturdy structure. And find a room in the middle. Turn up the volume on the TV. We'll give you the all clear on this specific one here in a minute. Wrap up in blankets and pillows, a helmet, something I would definitely have, and stay there until we can give you the all clear. This is not a tornado warning for northeast Lowndes County, but that doesn't mean one isn't issued in the next couple of moments here. And your signal will probably go out with the heavy rainfall. You can watch live, WTVA.com/live, or the news and weather apps. Get them free, pick them up. We do our live coverage there. We're on Facebook Live as well if you can't get this up and going. But it's easier to see everything. You have closed captioning on that other one there. Let's see the latest update there on the precipitation mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. If that is not a tornado at this moment, this is as close as we're going to end up getting to one probably the rest of the day. I mean, this is very, very close. There's Highway 50, as you can see. Highway 50 there. Right along, if not just north of Highway 50, that's where our rotation is, moving towards Steens at a speed of about 60 miles per hour. Based on where I believe the tornado is, or what could quickly develop into a tornado is, we're talking 2 minutes or less into the intersection there that is trying to wrap up and affect locations around Steens. So less than 2 minutes here could be a tornado that is attempting to form right now in northeast Lowndes County. I don't have confirmation of any of it, but I do know that when I see this and it happened like this and as quickly as it's happening, sometimes that's what happens. I want to make sure there's not another notch around this. In fact, there's our tornado warning coming out for this. So we've been telling you now for about 5 minutes, tornado potential on this. Let's look at McCrary here. Let's look just northeast of New Hope, make sure there's not something else there trying to wrap up. But that is trying to produce a tornado there. Let's check the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. 2 areas here. Near McCrary right there. That is probably a tornado. Right along the Mississippi-Alabama state line. That is probably a tornado here too that has wrapped up. When we check our pixel-to-pixel wind change, that we call gate-to-gate shear on this thunderstorm, I show 87 miles per hour. And as we often say, anything over 80, we're going to expect it to be a tornado. And that's what we have here near the forest community just south of US 82. It's going to be on a track that will take it across 82 within a minute or two. So if you know somebody who's going to be traveling between Tuscaloosa and Columbus along 82, tell them not to go right now. Because this could be, if not is, a tornado at this moment occurring. Let's get a storm track, and we've got to go up the Steens in just a second here. So 60 miles per hour forest, it's there. Fern Bank, we're talking about 12 minutes for you. Rotation that could potentially be a tornado at this instant. In fact, I'm betting by that latest scan that just came down a second ago, we're just now north of US 82, and that is wrapped up. We are right at Steens. So we're going to sit on this until this is through Steens. We're going to sit there for you. This is rotation right here that's probably right on Gun Chute Road. There's Steens Vernon Road. We're in Steens. I mean, it's just essentially in Steens, maybe just inches east, but this is right over top of you. This is likely a tornado ongoing at this moment. We look at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, and there it is. And so you can see the toward and away up here. Away from the radar, toward the radar. This is where our rotation is. Very near Steens. Just now east of Gun Chute Road. Radar's not perfect, so I can't guarantee that that's exactly right, but that's pretty close there, just south of Steens Vernon Road for the moment. In the next update we're going to get, it's probably going to be over top of Steens Vernon Road, but hopefully at this moment, if you know somebody in Steens, lives near Steens, has a Steens address, we've got to be in that tornado safe place. This is a tornado we believe to be ongoing at this moment in northeastern Lowndes County. Right where that arrow is, that's pretty close, right there where I would put our tornado at this moment. So for folks who live in Lamar County, Alabama, you are under a severe thunderstorm. Actually, you're not even under a severe thunderstorm warning at this moment. But you need to be in your tornado safe place. If you live out here toward Vernon as well, this shows up Hightology on there. I'm actually going to come a little more north with that track and get Malloy. And that time might be a minute or two off there. I show 14 minutes. It might be closer to 12. Let's be in that tornado safe place now. Steens is pretty much over top of you. We need to, Mike, get with Lowndes County Emergency Manager here in a minute. Okay. And there's our tornado warning for Lamar County, Alabama, in effect until 12:30 for this circulation here. The reason why it's been issued by the National Weather Service there in Birmingham. You might ask why it took until this moment, and that's because the Weather Service in Birmingham is concentrating a couple other things as well as this. This is Jackson's area, this is Birmingham's area, and so Jackson had the warning earlier, and so now this is what's coming up there. Might clip Vernon there, but we're going to be Malloy in 10 to 14 minutes for you. Solagent at this speed, about where we're at on this. This is pretty much over top of Steens at this time. I'm going to look south, see if what we had seen there a minute ago near Forest is still there. It is not. For a scan or two near Forest, we had what looked like it might have been something there damaging. Still probably straight line winds up around 60 miles per hour. But that rotation, less impressive on that part of the thunderstorm there. Walking down our line here to the previously tornado warned thunderstorm for Noxubee County, a couple areas of interaction here. Alan, do we know where Joel is at this moment? Has he gotten... Trying to get back. Okay, we need to probably, it's going to be hard to get him back ahead of through this. We need to rotate him up to see if he can get to Steen, see if we can find damage up there.
Okay.
Hopefully that's not the case, but we need to rotate him back up that direction because we're not, because unless he is almost in Aliceville at this moment, he's not going to get back ahead of this, and I don't know that I want him to try to cut back through this. Chasing 60-mile-per-hour moving thunderstorms is very, very difficult. Reports coming in of some small tree debris and stuff reported in Pickens County between Aliceville and Pickensville. Those reports, as always, coming in through the National Weather Service. We appreciate those. But all the folks out there, it's a lot of tree damage. We want you to be careful. We don't want you to get out there in it, just so that we make sure that we're in good shape here. So let's go to the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. Yeah, near Pickensville, that's where I show that rotation along Highway 86 moving northeast. Aliceville, same. There are two areas. So I'm just going to, instead of using the specific cone track where it's like that cone that it's coming towards you, let's instead do the whole line here, track it northeast, where this is going to grab some folks that might not be in the direct path of tornadoes, but instead in path of the strong straight line winds. Aliceville, we're now at 1150 for you. You can see that's maybe 2 minutes away, so you can assume now. Saps Community 1151 now. Only area there at 1154, Carrollton 1157, Reform at 1204, and Gordo at 1209 as we continue to watch this move toward the north and east. Let's come back up here to our tornado that we believe to still be possibly on the ground up near the Steens area. Now that's thankfully not as well organized as just a minute ago. Let's double check a couple of different radar sites here. Okay, so there it is, there it is. It may or may not still be on the ground near the Alabama line, Alabama state line between Lowndes and Lamar counties, rotation that still could potentially near Lowndes and Lamar County on the county line there, near Steens Vernon Road, be a tornado, excuse me, at this moment. And so that's what we are tracking. Let's track that northeast.
Yeah, we have storm report.
Okay, give me just a moment if you can, Joel. I'm gonna get track on this. What still might be a tornado at this instant. 13 minutes now into the Malloy area. Storm report coming in from our meteorologist Joel Young, who's tracking the storm down in Noxubee County. And where exactly are you?
All right, Matt. I crossed over into Alabama. I was on what once was Mississippi Highway 14, turns into Alabama Highway 32. You can see there's a tree down there on the eastbound side of the road. Now I'm going to pull up a little bit farther, going back toward the east. There's tree branches that are just littering on the road. But there is a church here on the left, and we're going to pull up in the parking lot. The entire looks like what was maybe a carport of some sort here near where Pickens County Road 87 comes out. This looks like, I'm going to give you the exact name of this in a second.
It's the loading and unloading area.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we see what you're showing
so
there.
We have power lines down. This looks like maybe at least some strong winds came through here, but the entire unloading arm came down. We're also pulling back around. And again, this is Baptist Cluster Church.
Say it one more time.
And the Baptist Cluster Church.
Okay. And is your camera rolling right now?
It should be rolling. We should be live.
Okay. Yeah. No. You're definitely you're live. It's just not recording. So hopefully we're recording back here. Go ahead.
Right. I just hit the record button though.
Okay. SD card full.
In the parking lot now.
Okay. And I see now the tree looks like the tree has some damage there too, doesn't it?
What's that?
The tree looked like the tree had some damage too.
Yes, there is some tree damage here. I'm going to pull around to where you can see that. There's a lot of debris here in the exit lane of the church parking lot. Looks like there's a road that comes out there. But yes, this tree, and I'm going to be honest, if you look, can you tilt the camera up to the top of that tree there? It looks like the tree, look at how the way...
Yeah, that's weird. That's interesting damage. We'll just leave it at that. That looks suspect. So okay, so you are about how many miles east of the Alabama state line are you?
Maybe 2 or 3 miles east of the Alabama line. Would you agree? Honestly, I'm going back. I'm going to track back toward the east, and maybe I'm going to be heading north eventually. I'm going to go up to a fork. I'm going to head up toward Aliceville. Did the rotation look like it headed toward Aliceville?
Yeah, the rotation went basically toward Aliceville along 17, and then from there you can either continue following along 17 to follow behind it, or you can shoot back up toward Pickensville and work your way.
Go north toward Lamar County.
Yeah, I would go north toward Lamar County, and we'll try to check up there. Head generally towards Steens. Looked like we probably wrapped up a tornado there.
Okay. Should I try to get some video from our camera there at the church?
I'm going to assume. Are we rolling enough that we can pull this stuff back up, Mike? SD card is full. If you want to delete some stuff, get some video real quick at the church there, and then move on. And I need to catch on some other stuff. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Bye. So meteorologist Joel Young there in Pickens County, Alabama. He was on Highway 32. Just a little bit before the intersection of Highway 17, as you saw some damage to a church there, tree damage along the road. That is where this rotation moved through. The time on that was about, right now it's 11:36, so about 15, 17 minutes ago, some wind damage from this, being that it's Sunday morning, you don't want to see wind damage any day of the week, but at least whatever that church was had service a little earlier on before that damaging storm came through there. And so that shows itself over top of Aliceville right now. That's what the storm there that produced that damage we saw a second ago, continuing to move toward the north and east, still potentially producing a tornado on that as well. Did we ever get those reports into the Weather Service?
Yeah, I'm working on sending some in right now.
Okay. Okay. Let me get this back up and plugged in for you there, so you can. There you go. Okay. So along this line, let's track it northeast, 60 miles per hour, current speed. Okay, so you can see Cunningham area there at 11:55, 11:57 there, Carrollton, Beards Mill at 12 o'clock, Stanzel 12:01, Reform 12:05, Kirk 12:07, and Gordo at 12:10. Current time is 11:55 a.m. Meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside meteorologist Alan Matthew doing continuous weather coverage for a line of severe thunderstorms, numerous reports of damage. What type of damage? What's caused the damage? All giant questions, some of which we've been able to answer, some which we'll answer over the next couple of days as we get more information. What we do know is it's all been wind damage primarily, in some cases from tornadoes, in other cases from straight line winds. What we know at this point is that we have our worst potential to see damaging thunderstorms stretching from Marion County, Alabama, through Lamar County, through Pickens County, Alabama, with 1-2 significant areas of rotation that could be producing tornadoes at this instant. The other thing we will say is the leading edge of some previously straight line winds that's moving up here into northern Alcorn and Tippah counties. As we check the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, just the straight line wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, and we'll look from the Memphis radar site for that. Those winds continue to move northward, continue to produce sporadic reports of wind damage, not dealing with tornado reports out of these. You can see consistent straight line winds now north of Ripley and Crumtown approach, worst of which are going to stay a little west of the Corinth area in this zone here. You look at the rain mode on radar, just how the rain that's falling, the way it works, it's hardly even showing up. There's just been so many reports of sporadic damage. That's the main emphasis from this, and so we still expect it's conceivable. It's still producing that at this time. Let's go now to specifically the tornado warnings. And we've touched just moments ago on Pickens County. Let's come up to Lamar County, Alabama. Pickens County under a tornado warning until 12:15. The tornado warning for Lamar County until 12:30. Approaching Vernon at this time. This is the part of the thunderstorm here. If we go to just the closest radar site, the one out of Monroe County, that this is the rotation that wrapped up there near Steens a few minutes ago. And while it has broadened out, in this area here, you at least have 60-mile-per-hour winds. And wind is wind is wind. Wind damages your house in a tornado warning because wind from a tornado hits it from one side and then rapidly hits it from another side. Wind damages your house from straight line winds because wind hits your house. It's wind. That's what causes the damage. And so that's why I say 60-mile-per-hour winds from this thunderstorm or 60-mile-per-hour winds from a lower-end tornado are both going to cause 60-mile-per-hour wind damage. So there is a tornado warning in effect, and though I can't say for sure it is producing a tornado, we need to respect it as though it could. We do think it probably briefly produced one very near Steens. Malloy there at 11:58. Current time is 11:56, so maybe 2 minutes. Vernon, Alabama, 12:04, and Hightology there at 12:01. As this continues to move toward the north and east. Let's go closer. Let's look at the wind mode specifically. We're going to go out of the Columbus Air Force Base. We're going to look and see on the, briefly had that tornado spin up there, closer to south of Caledonia. I don't have on here what I believe is for sure a tornado. Then we felt very sure we had a tornado. This could still possibly be a tornado at a couple of points here along this leading edge. It's actually a little easier to pick it up on the rainfall mode here than it is on the other one, south of Malloy there, where there's one of those little interactions. Let's go up a couple scans on Storm Track Doppler radar, see if we can get a better location, better lock on the location, and that is our latest at the lowest level there. So we would be saying at this point that our possible tornado just east of Patterson Road, near County Road 9, approaching the intersection there of County Road 9 and 10 in Lamar County, where that rotation is. One also near Alabama Highway 18, both encroaching upon Vernon. And so Vernon, we need to be in that tornado safe place. What we have at this moment for you in Lamar County, Alabama, is a lot of maybes, as we've had all day. We do not have a tornado that's been spotted. We do not have radar confirming a tornado at this instant. But we do have rotation that could develop into a tornado, and the time frame is very soon. That notch we were tracking just seconds ago, continuing to get a little bit more organized. And so we have to assume that it's possible that that could take the next step and try to produce a tornado very soon. So how do we need to approach this? We need to be in our tornado safe place, which is the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. We want to make sure that we have, that we basically have someplace that we can cover up with blankets and pillows and stay there until we can give you the all clear as we turn up that